So today we're going to be talking about teachers' pay. I released a video about this time last year about teachers' pay, and at the time it was the only video I planned to release. I didn't really want to go into this too much, but it's the video that I've had the most questions about. It's the video that I've had the most comments on. It's a video that seems to interest the most people, and between last year and this year, teachers' pay has changed massively. There's been promises that have been made about massive pay rises. There's been promises that have been broken about massive pay rises. There's been some pay rises given. There's been some pay rises for the future that have not been given. And there's been a pay freeze. And all of that has happened in the space of 12 months. And so it's been a bit of a minefield keeping up with it. But I feel like I've got to the point now where for the new year that we are in now, I kind of know where the pay is going and how much people are supposed to be earning as a teacher. And so I thought I'd release this just to kind of let you guys know of all the changes that have happened, because quite frankly, as you'll see in a minute once I get onto the computer, there's a huge amount of change that's gone on, and from last year to this year there's loads of different things that kind of interplay to create those changes. So just before I get into it, I just wanted to make clear that this is for teachers in England. This is for teachers from NQTs all the way up to a head teacher, and it's for teachers that are working outside of London, because anyone that works inside London or the fringe areas around like the M25, their pay is slightly higher because their cost of living is higher. So that's just my kind of disclaimers. If you want a specific video on teachers inside London and that kind of area, or in other countries apart from England, then please let me know. But yeah, if you want to go back and see what the old video was about, then I will link it up in the corner somewhere. But the information in the video has since changed, and so this video will be the one with all the up-to-date information, but it might be nice to make a comparison and have a look at what that one is compared to this one. So yeah, this is the salary of a teacher in 2021. Okay, so we are here with our English pay scale, all right? Now, this pay scale is, as I said, for England, and it excludes London and the fringe, okay? That's because, as I said, those people in London have a higher living expense, so therefore they have a higher salary as well. If you want any other information about the people in London or outside of England, then please let me know and I will have a look into that for you. As I said, there are a few different things to go into before we go down through the different pay scales, as they start here. The first thing is that last year, teachers got, as it says here on the government website, the biggest pay rise in 15 years. Now, that was on average a 3% boost or a 3.1% increase, including a 5.5% increase for teachers starting at an NQT level on M1 of the pay scale. This changed and all of the teachers got 2.75%, so averaged at that 3.1%. This was the biggest pay rise in 15 years, and it was quite a big deal for a long time. Teachers' pay has been frozen or kept below inflation, so this was a very, very big pay rise for teachers to get, which for me was very much welcomed. And as you can see on the screen, Gavin Williamson said some lovely stuff about how teachers are working really hard. He also said this bit here, which I've just highlighted. Now, this is very interesting. At the start of when this government began, they said that they would be bringing in a £30,000 starting salary for teachers outside of London by 2022. So obviously it's now the start of 2021, so you'd expect this to be in place by next year. Now, this was something that they campaigned on, that they brought through, and was all going to go ahead until, sadly, it didn't. So you can see here a full article on the government website about their plans. Make teachers' starting salaries be £30,000, so in about 2 academic years' time, this will be bringing in. They've also increased the teachers' pension scheme, so all well and good and brilliant. However, due to the pandemic and the pressures on the public sector, teachers' pay has been frozen, and that £30,000 pledge has been dropped. It's not been dropped completely, it's been delayed, and the government is now saying that this will be introduced by the end of this parliament. So it's still very welcome that it's there, and I'm not going to pretend to understand the pressures that the government has to go through about the budgeting for the entire country. My economics A-level did not go as well as I hoped, so I do not understand in the foggiest what they have to go through to get all that sorted, but that is where we are at now. So hopefully that will be introduced for teachers, that £30,000 starting salary, but it's not here yet. Hopefully it'll be by the end of this government, but as we know, these things getting pushed back are generally a sign that it's not all going to plan. So that's been the kind of changes over the last few years. You can see that things have been brought in, things have gone, pay rise have been given, pay rise have been taken away. But all that boils down to is that we have still got a pay scale, and it is still fairly straightforward to read through. So you've got here the classroom teachers. Now, when I made this video last year that I've linked up above somewhere, this was the pay scale that we were looking at. And so obviously it went up to August 2020. It's now 2021, so we are in the middle of this pay scale on this side. So this is where, as you can see, teacher salaries have gone up. So that 5% increase for starting salaries is here from 24,373 to 25,714. So very, very welcome increase there. And you can see it goes up. So this is, if you're a classroom teacher, you can go from M1 to M6, and there's the upper pay range of U1 up to U3. So a normal classroom teacher in the classroom will earn anywhere between 25,714 up to 41,604. That's quite straightforward. However, there are some bits that you then add to that. So you have things called a TLR. So these TLRs are fixed term payments that you get throughout your over 3 terms of the school year, and these can range massively, but they're generally given to a teacher that is going above and beyond and having to do often things like for English and math. There's also one for the special educational needs, and so you can see they get different payments between 500 up to a maximum of 14,000. However, I think these kind of payments change school to school, so I cannot comment on what you would expect to get. But those are the range of payments that you could hope to get if you are awarded a TLR now. And for the special educational needs, you can see here between 2,270 and 4,479. So that is on top of the salary that we spoke about here. Now, we go into here with something called lead practitioners. Lead practitioners are for those teachers that are consistently performing to their very, very best. They're consistently sharing their knowledge with other teachers, helping mentor other teachers to improve their teaching, but they do not want to go onto the leadership scale. So they do not want to become part of the senior leadership team, and they want to stay as a teacher in the classroom. This is a way of incentivizing those teachers, so they've always got something to work for. And again, you can see it goes on. So the upper pay scale ends at 41,604. This starts at 42,402 and goes up to 64,461. So at the very, very top end, you can be a classroom teacher earning £64,461 a year. Now, I would suggest that this is very, very unlikely you'll ever become a classroom teacher only earning that much. I would imagine most schools would need you to go onto some kind of leadership scheme and become part of the leadership team before you were to earn that much, and I'll go on to that in a minute. But theoretically, it is possible for a classroom teacher to earn that much and not have the extra responsibilities of leadership. So the next bit is for unqualified teachers. I don't know why they've put this in the middle of the pay scale, but it's here. So this is for teachers that are teaching in a classroom but do not yet have that QTS status. I will be doing a video soon about how you can get that QTS status, so please look out for that. But this is for teachers without it. So for example, you might have done a placement on your course at uni, and then you've stood in for cover for maternity leave in that school or something, and this is where you'll be put onto one of these scales. So again, this is anywhere between 18,169 and 28,735. And again, I'd say it's unlikely, especially if you're a younger teacher or aspiring to be a teacher, and you did end up having to be an unqualified teacher, you'd probably start near the bottom of this, and then for some very experienced people who don't have that status, maybe nearer the top. But again, I would always suggest becoming a qualified teacher and going through the QTS route. So the next part is the leadership group, and this is all about those teachers that are amazing practitioners like the lead practitioners, but also want the responsibilities of senior leadership, so part of the senior leadership team. And these start at a very similar point to the lead practitioners, who start at 42,400. These start at 42,195, but it goes all the way up to a humongous 117,197. So this is for any leadership team. It could start at a senior leadership, a deputy head, all the way up to the head teacher or the executive head teacher of a huge academy trust. So again, I would say it's very unlikely to find many teachers earning anywhere near 117,197, but theoretically that is something you could earn as an exec head teacher or a head teacher. You can also see these ranges for the head teachers, so that leadership scale. If you're a head teacher, you'll earn somewhere in these ranges depending on what group you are in from 1 to 8. So again, that's anywhere from 47,735 up to 117,197. So you can see for the top end of a head teacher's pay, from my last video, it was 114,000. Now just gone up by just over £3,000. So that is the entire pay scale for a school teacher in 2020 to 2021. I don't know whether this will change for next year. The government has suggested there will be a pay freeze on public sector workers due to the pandemic. So it is more than likely that that will not change. However, I will update you all, of course, if it does. Please let me know if you've got any questions. The biggest question I often get is about moving up the pay scales, and that is just down to your school and the targets you're set. So all NQTs start on M1, so you'll start on this salary, 25,714. You'll be given targets to hit by the end of that year, and if you pass your NQT, you'll move up to M2. Every year after that, you'll have targets set at the start of each year to do with your pupils' progress, to do with how you are doing as a teacher, to do with your progression. And if you hit these targets, you'll be moved up the pay scale. If you don't hit these targets, you won't. And it's that simple. So I can't comment on whether you will be guaranteed to go straight to M6 in 6 years, or whether you will take years and years to get that far, because it is primarily up to schools. But these are the scales you can aspire to move up, and hopefully you guys will be able to see that teaching is not a job to go into just for the money. It is a lifestyle choice pretty much. They're not competitive salaries when you compare some of them in places like London, in finance work and that kind of thing. They are not competitive at all. But if you're going to want to be a teacher, you're going to want to use this as kind of inspiration for what you could achieve one day. And hopefully it'll just give you a bit of an insight into planning your future career into teaching. So I hope this has been useful to you. As always, please put a comment down below if you've got any questions, and I'll be more than happy to answer them. I've answered every single comment I've ever got on this channel, I think. So please do so, and I will be around with a new video very soon. So thanks for watching, guys, and I'll see you soon.